Minister for Home Affairs, Mr. Shanmugam.
Thank you, sir. So I thank the honourable members for their comments. 2018 was an intense year for the home team. High signature events, the Trump-Kim summit, the ASEAN summit because we were chair of ASEAN. And of course, some issues arose in our waters. Some disputes with Malaysia, Johor port limits. So to deal with that, Police Coast Guard have been operating at a very high tempo since really the disputes began, round the clock. And the entire home team, because of the events of last year, have been working round the clock. So I want to thank all the home team officers for their hard work, their dedication, and the professionalism with which they have approached their work. Let me move to an overview of the safety and security situation. Like in past years, we continue to rank very highly on indices on safety and security. The Gallup Global Law and Order Report of 2018, World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index of 2019, and the Global Smart City Performance Index of 2018 all ranked us #1 on this score. Crime and drug situations remain under control, and our internal surveys, which we do regularly, show that public trust and confidence in the home team remains extremely high. Let me now move on to what we intend to do this year. A significant step this year will be taken to qualitatively improve our capabilities. We are going to set up a new science and technology agency that will help transform the home team, really through the increased use of technology to support operations. And for example, the use of biometric identifiers at our borders, using our sensors to better detect threats, and robotics to automate and streamline processes. The approach for the new Science and Technology Board is really that we want to deepen the home team's scientific engineering capabilities. We want to strengthen the operational effectiveness, and we want to work on developing new technologies, focusing on threat detection, digital forensics, unmanned systems. Really, we'll pull together the S&T resources, integrate the S&T requirements across the home team, and attract and develop S&T talent, which is critical. Minister Josephine will speak in more detail about our plans. We will also update the committee on other plans to maintain Singapore's safety and security. Senior Parliamentary Secretary Amrin Amin will speak on drug abuse prevention, rehabilitation of offenders, cybercrime, and the home team manpower transformation. Senior Parliamentary Secretary Sun Shui Ling will speak on improving fire and road safety and also improving community partnerships. I will speak on two emerging concerns which Mr. D'Souza and Mr. Bayam King, Mr. Rahayu Mazam, and Mr. Gan Thiam Poh have raised, really foreign interference in domestic politics, and second, trends that undermine our religious harmony, and what we intend to do about both of these. I will also speak about the rehabilitation of low-income drug abusers, a point raised by Mr. Singh, Mr. Pratam Singh. I think there's only one Mr. Singh in chamber. Okay. Not yet. First, on foreign interference in domestic politics. Last month, Senior Minister of State Edwin Tong spoke. Overseas examples of foreign interference in domestic politics and elections. I think members, the public, know the impact that foreign interference has in politics in different countries. It's well documented. Hostile information campaigns have been used to weaken countries' resolve when countries are in conflict and tension between states. One country uses hostile information campaign to destabilize the other country. Foreign actors have attempted to undermine democracy, elections in a number of countries. Foreign interference has also come into play to try and weaken the social fabric of different countries. Mr. D'Souza spoke about the need to look at what has happened with other countries, how they have dealt with them, and learn some lessons on what we can do. We intend to do that. We have been doing it. Several countries have, in fact, passed laws to combat both falsehoods as well as foreign interference. One example is, I will quote a couple of examples. Germany, the Network Enforcement Act, it requires social media platforms to set up a process, and the process must ensure that manifestly illegal content, such as hate speech, should be removed within 24 hours of receipt of a complaint. Failure to comply could mean fines of up to 50 million euros. In Australia, recently, legislation was passed on dealing with foreign interference, stiff penalties. There was a complete ban on foreign political donations. And those who act on behalf of foreign nations or entities must declare that relationship. Failure to comply could mean up to 5 years jail. And foreign interference aimed at influencing elections or supporting foreign intelligence, people who engage in that could face a penalty of up to 20 years in jail. The kind of penalties that you see, I think, indicate the severity of the threat and how countries are reacting to them. We are studying their experiences. We are studying what has happened to them and what they are doing to combat the threat. Our current thinking is that early detection and exposure is critical. Second, we must be able to act quickly and keep up with new digital age tactics. Third, apart from strengthening our laws, we have to build up the ability of Singaporeans to understand what is happening, to discern, to respond appropriately, to try and resist foreign interference. But, we must train people to spot it, but it is a reality that many people will find it difficult. We must also accept that. But some of the steps that I have outlined can only be taken through legislation. The government will come to this House later this year with its proposals. Now let me deal with the concerns raised by Mr. Pratam Singh on low-income drug abusers. He said recent changes to the Misuse of Drugs Act may inadvertently operate in favor of drug abusers who come from more affluent households. And are we doing enough to help low-income hardcore addicts? I think the questions are fair. I'll say look at the facts, and he did preface his speech by saying that he doesn't have the statistics with him. So with that caveat in mind, if you look at those in long-term imprisonment, 9 in 10 of the inmates before these changes were made were from the bottom 20 percentile of wage earners nationally. Now, LT inmates are drug abusers who have been picked up for the third time or more. That data shows that those in the lowest 20th percentile of wage earners are no more likely to have both drug and criminal convictions at the same time as compared to those who earn more. They will be eligible to be channeled to DRC if they admit to drug use and have committed no other crime. That's an answer based on the facts in the current situation. But take a step back more philosophically. Take a situation where there are those who abuse drugs and those who abuse drugs as well as commit a crime. Do they need to be treated differently? For those who abuse drugs, the right thing to do is not to look so much at their economic background or social background, but to say what is going to help them kick the habit and become useful citizens in society. And our approach based on many years of data and experience, science, evidence-based, is that we can do more with rehabilitation. And that has been welcomed by all. At the same time, let's take those who commit crime in addition to abusing drugs. What is in their interest? It is in their interest that we help them both to kick off their drug habit and at the same time not commit the crime. What is in society's interest? It is also to prevent them from committing a crime and ensuring safety of society. So those in the second category need to be helped to move out of criminality and drugs. So we try and achieve that through a number of programs when they are in detention. How to help them, whether in LT or DRC, stay off drugs and crime, is something that we are very intensely focused upon. And hopefully, with our programs, regardless of which socioeconomic group they come from, when they come out, they are able to lead a healthy life and a more productive life for them from their own perspective. So, for example, we have put in place a range of programs to address these many different complex causes of both addiction and crime. So for all drug abusers, the prisons provide psychology-based correctional programs. So members can understand, Mr. Singh can understand, if you committed a crime, you've done this, you go in, you get access to psychology-based correctional programs, which I think they need to address the underlying drug addiction issues. They also undergo skills training and work programs. For example, we find that those who, when they come out, are able to keep a job, the recidivism rate is much lower. So we have to help them while they are in prison, try and get the right attitudes towards getting and keeping a job. So SCORE provides job matching to place them in jobs before they are released, job coaches to help abusers stay in employment, draw a steady income. We also partner the community, halfway houses, religious organizations, to provide various forms of support, for example, interim housing arrangements. So those with a higher risk profile of reoffending are given more help through mandatory aftercare schemes. So after they get released, they go through the scheme. LT inmates will be put through the scheme, and the legislation has now made it mandatory. Prisons also works closely with community partners and other government agencies supported by MSF to ensure that the abusers and the families, when they need financial assistance, they can tap on community resources, whether on the point when they get admitted into detention or post-release. So we'll monitor the results closely from the changes that are being made, have been made, and our intention is to try and make it work, and we will make further changes as necessary. We will monitor closely. Let me now move on to religious harmony. There are three worrisome trends. MP spoke about them, or what the government's response. I will identify three trends that are of concern. First, resurgence of identity politics around the world. More people are identifying themselves in narrow ethnic, cultural, religious terms. They turn inward, they reject diversity, they reject coexistence with others. Political parties and movements that ride this wave have gained traction around the world. For example, far-right parties have made electoral gains in France, Netherlands, Germany. Right movements have gained prominence in the US as well. Significant support for religion-based parties and parties which advocate moves in this direction have gained in our immediate region as well. Mr. Bae King spoke about increasing segregationist ideas, practices. These views are all around. They can come from foreign preachers. They can come from the internet. One example, one particular example of such teaching is what was said in Myanmar. Ashin Verato, some members may be familiar with him, urging Buddhists to boycott Muslim businesses. And I quote, "Do business or interact with only our kind, same race and same faith." So it's all around us. And he is not alone. The second worrisome trend, as Mr. D'Souza and Mr. Hayu Mazum have noted, The internet has allowed hate speech and incitement to spread further, faster, and there can be devastating effects. The third trend is religiously motivated terrorist groups continue to spread their propaganda. Overseas experiences show that the immediate aftermath of an attack, a terrorist attack, there is distrust, there is suspicion between communities. And the rise of Islamophobic incidents in Paris, Brussels in the wake of attacks would be known to members. So how do we respond? Mr. Gantiampo, Ms. Rahayu, Mr. D'Souza asked how we should respond. First, of course, the non-sexy bit as it were, what we have always been doing, continue to build a strong Singaporean identity, preserve and grow our common space and experiences. It's hard work, it's a lot of work, and it takes a long time. But we are where we are today because of all the steps that were taken over 50 years. Our education system, public housing, national service, all examples of us coming together, common space, people of different backgrounds, understanding, creating our own value system, and building common experiences. And we have to build a strong Singaporean identity and through these common experiences. We also have to guard against segregationist thinking, teaching, practices that seek to reduce the opportunities for Singaporeans of different religions, races to come together. Second, we have to continue to keep religion and politics separate. Our politics, our approach is secular. We have managed to balance the right to religious freedom with a secular approach to politics and with the need to ensure harmony, peace and security in our multiracial, multi-religious society. A key challenge, it is an increasing challenge, is to ensure that we can maintain that right balance in the face of the challenges that members have spoken about, that I have acknowledged. So we have to work harder in the community to maintain and strengthen the Singapore value system. We also have to review our legislation, deal with some of the challenges. We are reviewing our Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act in this context. We aim to give more details later this year after we have thought through some of the issues and done some consultations. Third, we have to preserve the culture of mutual respect for each other's religions. We have to reach out across religious lines and keep the avenues of conversation open. Religious harmony is built and nurtured on the basis of trust among the communities. So the government will continue to provide platforms to facilitate dialogues, build the trust, and of course government is a key player and partner in this process. Thank you, sir.